Hey, how you guys doing? This is KLA, Clive the Wanderer, and happy Mother's Day. If your mother, I was talking to you stuff, but anybody, to all the mothers, happy Mother's Day. Y'all could be a pain in the rear end at times, but really appreciate y'all, bringing us to this world. And yeah,
Thank
so yeah. Well, I have a lovely guest. Her name is Steph, Banabalik.
Bananabolic.
Banana Balik. Excuse my pronunciation. Yeah, I'm here. She's here with me, and she's here to talk about her journey into fitness. And yeah, like I appreciate you stopping by. And yeah, how did you get into bodybuilding?
Bodybuilding came a little bit later for me. So I'm, you know, 42 years old now. I didn't start bodybuilding specifically until I was 41. Prior to that, I had always done like this or that fitness stuff throughout. I ran marathons, or I did like the Tough Mudder gigs or like shipboard. I'm active duty Navy, so there was always like some shipboard fitness competition. But then, I had some friends over one time, and they had competed, and they were like, "When are you gonna, lean out and step on stage?" And I'm like, "Shut up!" And they're like, "No, for real, you should talk to our coach." And so I did, and then one thing led to another, and sure enough, I ended up down a whole different journey that I fell in love with the sport.
Yeah, like how many competitions you've been doing so far?
So my first year, I did one amateur competition, and I was
Yeah.
very fortunate and earned my pro card there. And then I did 5 shows last year, and I'm ramping up. I'm in prep now, but I'm still 16 weeks out from my first show for this year's comp season. So.
Yeah. And you became a pro also. And I know that I seen your Instagram. You're like a OCB pro and a PNBA pro.
Mhm.
Yeah. Did it
Both,
take
yeah,
you long
natural
to
pro.
become yeah, natural pro? Did it take you long to get your pro card or
I got it on my first show.
yeah. It was like when you say that like was it easy was it an easy competition or
Oh, that's an interesting question. So I don't know that any competition's easy, but I will say that there was, the classes weren't terribly small. It wasn't like me and like two other people on stage or anything like that.
yeah.
And so it's a Chesapeake Classic. So for those who are familiar with the OCB schedule, I mean it's not a small show by any stretch of the imagination, and it continues to be my favorite, for that
Yeah.
reason. Um,
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I was about to say I know somebody that, I interviewed, they competed in that show. I think that was they pro debut. Yeah, this was like last year. So, yeah.
okay, yeah, I competed there again last year, but as a pro, so it was cool to win the amateur side a couple years ago and then come back last year and get to compete as a pro. That was super. It was such an honor. And it's such a
And
great show. It's put together so well.
your figure, right?
I am.
Oh, okay, okay, all right, yeah. So, yeah, like, what was it like? But were you comfortable, like, in the heels, or you with the posing? Like, was that difficult, or
Uh, so no, yes, it was difficult. No, it wasn't entirely comfortable. It's not like the same as wearing heels to go out, and
right,
posing isn't, I think a lot of people take posing for granted. They, especially you watch somebody who's done it for a very long time, and they make it look easy, and then once you start to break it down and try to learn it for yourself, and be coached. I have a great posing coach. she takes it all the way down to the skeletal level of what you're trying to do. Um, it it's more daunting, and it's not always like a natural movement. So like for me anyways, I can't speak for everybody, but for me it requires a ton of practice, and it's still
Yeah.
total. By no stretch have I mastered posing.
Yeah, I think that, from what people tell me, it's the toughest thing in bodybuilding is the poses, because there's certain amount of seconds that holding the pose, and yeah, it's not very, and you breathe in, and of course, yeah,
Sure, and
so
you've just depleted and carved up, and you're nervous, and it's not even a guess. You are being judged. You're
yeah,
100% being judged at how you look. You can't even say, oh, it's all in my head. No, you're standing up there presenting yourself for judgment.
right. So like I think earlier you said your friends kind of encourage you to compete.
They did 100%.
Um,
My friend Rachel and her husband Cole are their names, and they were like, "What are you doing? Like, you have the structure for it. You need to, talk to our coach." So, and then I had
oh,
and I spoke to a couple of different coaches, and initially, but I'm super happy with the choice I made. I've got a great coach, Dr. Frankenstein. I'm sure people have heard of him. He's all over, the different social media platforms. But
Dr. Frankenstein, that's his name.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's his handle. But I think, people start bodybuilding for one reason or another, and then there's a reason to start bodybuilding. There's a reason you start competing. Then there's reasons to continue to bodybuild and to continue to compete. And the reasons and your whys and what pushes you, I think they change. And to do it once as a bucket list is cool. To do it to honor something or to prove you can is cool. I think it's cool if you decide like this is a lifestyle that you enjoy. It's cool to bodybuild and not compete. I think it varies, and that's part of what's awesome about it.
Yeah, yeah. I see on social media bodybuilders that don't compete and the competitors and stuff. So yeah, yeah. So let me show some pictures of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, not pictures, but video. Now this is the Yorton Cup. You was at the Yorton Cup. Like, what was that like for you?
Oh, the Jordan, I was shaking like a leaf. I enjoyed myself immensely. So that was the 20th anniversary of the Yorton Cup for one.
Mhm.
It was my first pro season last year. So that was, so exciting. And then I just was, I went there just so ecstatic to be able to be on the stage, and wound up, taking second in my class. And it was just a profound experience.
Yeah, yeah. You look nice. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, that's in the middle of my growth season right there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been watching couple of Yorton Cups when they have it, I think in September. If I'm correct me if I'm wrong, they have it like every September. I've been watching it a couple of times, you know.
Hmm.
So it's
Yeah, it's
like
their
the
pinnacle
Olympia.
event.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
I
the
actually
Olympia
did
of the natural OCB.
well, there is
What?
a natural Olympia as well, the INBA, PNBA Olympia, which I did as well. That's in Vegas every
Oh,
year, but
okay.
not until November.
Oh, okay. Why don't you walk me through that? Like, what's that like? That organization? Like, I mean, there's people have told me about it, but not a lot. So, you know.
Um, so it's different from the OCB. And
Yeah.
I think both organizations have their strong suits. I think the OCB has come from, I've only been competing with them for, a couple of years, but I deep dove into kind of, their come up, and Their footprint's getting larger on a global scale now. I know that they're having shows overseas now, and they're starting to break into the international, competition space. And I think that's awesome. And I think that the OCB is a very welcoming organization. I felt very comfortable and respected from the beginning of my experience with them. The INBA, PNBA has a different feel to it, has a very international feel. They are well established in many nations. And, when you go to compete at Olympia, it's not just a competitor from, another country that's there. It's an entire team. Like Germany shows up with their flags and you're on Team USA. And so it's a different feel. And then also, OCB has fewer categories. So those categories get, I would say, more competitive. Whereas the INBA, PNBA has a ton of categories, everything from evening wear, mixed pairs, figure physique, bodybuilding. OCB doesn't offer bodybuilding for female competitors. They do figure to physique and then bikini and wellness. Whereas the INBAs, they got the swimsuit model, they have bikini, they have figure, they have physique, they have bodybuilding, they have so many more categories. So it's they do like an angels category where people make wings and all kinds of stuff. So it's a much different feel, but both have amazing experiences to offer.
Yeah, I've been to a couple of OCB shows. Yeah, the one at the Big Apple and the Double Down in Atlantic City stuff.
Okay.
I like the Atlantic City. It's pretty. It's more space. The OCB, the one in here in Brooklyn, like the Big Apple, it's a little crowded, but it's not a bad show.
Mm-hmm.
They like the people are more they're more like a family. The way how they treat their competitors like they really care. So yeah, yeah, been a spectator. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's an important
Like,
part of the sport. Somebody's got to watch it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, not this past Friday. I went to the New York Pro, the IFBB. Yeah, it was all
Uh,
right. They're not
mhm.
as I ain't gonna lie, they're not as friendly as the OCB, but
No,
they
absolutely.
it ain't a bad show, huh?
No, I mean, I enjoy going to. I have friends and relatives who compete in NPC shows, and then even one of my coach, my posing coach, she's an IFB pro. Um, it's a different feel, certainly a different atmosphere, but
Yeah,
I I still enjoy going. It's still part of the sport. One doesn't
yeah,
exist independently of the other. It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
people do it differently.
Yeah, but I think this show they took out women's bodybuilding.
Hmm.
I think last year they only had three competitors, and so they had fit. So now this they had fit model, they had bikini, wellness, women's physique, and figure. Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah. So are you planning to would you want to do like an NPC show?
Um, there's an NPC natural show. I hadn't really given it much consideration. Um, there's so many organizations out there. I've really enjoyed the ones that I've done so far, and I don't necessarily know, like down the road, what the future may hold. I don't want to say I'm closed off to it, but I also think that there's something to be said for having maybe a couple of organizations and sticking with them and building yourself within them and to their standards, because every organization is going to have a little bit of different standards and what they're looking for. And you try to meet too many, I think you could miss the mark.
Yeah. What makes you constantly do the shows? If I could ask you that question, like is there a drive?
Oh yeah.
obviously you do have a drive, but like, what makes you just constantly just compete? You want to prove yourself, or I don't know.
Oh no, I got nothing to prove.
Oh,
That's a young woman's game to have something to prove. Um, what I do is so the first show I did for the experience, I did it to honor myself, put the time into myself to kind of take control of what I could, right? Take control of my
yeah,
body in this world where we don't have much control over anything. It was a way for me to do that, and there. But then I stepped on stage, and I had a ball, right? Like I just loved it. It was fun. It was like I had this entirely feminine expression of something that's usually kind of like my weightlifting, my weight training. People kind of make jokes about it being masculine. But then when you're up there and you're in your heels and you're decked out, there's nothing masculine about it. And I always, I joke, but it's just the icing, right? Like every now and again, it's just fun and I enjoy it and I do it for literally do it for the love of the sport.
yeah,
Not to
yeah. A lot
prove
of people.
anything, not for any
Yeah,
kind of there's no spite. I'm not even competing with anyone. Like in my head, I compete with people, right? Against a standard. Oh, there's my coach. That's us at
yeah,
the chess classic last year, backstage.
yeah, yeah. How long,
Oh, yep,
you,
Go King.
how long? That's your bulking season. How long you been with your coach? I
Yep,
probably should have asked you that.
that's two bowl king seasons. What's that?
How long you been with your coach? Like this same particular coach. Is that the Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein guy? Or
Yeah, that's him. Actually, I've been
okay.
with him since I started. So
Oh,
would have
okay.
been early 24.
All right. Wow.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
backstage.
Yeah. You look happy. You
And
look
there's my husband.
yeah. How long you guys been married?
It'll be 5 years this year.
Oh, okay. All right. What he says
He
about
actually just did a show this year too.
oh oh he competed.
Yeah, he did this year actually. So
Okay.
initially, I think he was like, "Oh, there's when I got my pro card." I actually got two that day. When I initially started, I don't think he understood it. I didn't understand it. It would be crazy for him, to fully understand what was going on. And then, as I think my husband understood that this wasn't something that was going to go away for me, that it was going to be something that stood the test of time because I just love it so much. He made the decision to go through a prep and do a show himself
Mm,
to understand it so he could see where I was at with it, where I'm coming from. He doesn't love it the way that I do it, but he, having done it now, is better able to support me and sort of just understand, right? Because like my whole thing is just because I'm in prep doesn't mean anybody else is. I made a choice to be in prep, so I don't have any right to have an attitude problem or not show up for my family just because I'm in prep, right? I need to figure out
yeah.
my essentially. So I still, take care of all the kids. I still taking them to schools. They still get to their practices. I still make all their food. They don't have to eat like they're in prep because they're not. They're kids. They like to eat stuff kids like healthy, but you know what I mean? Um, but now that my husband has gone through it, himself, and we're looking to actually potentially do a show together later this year. Uh, he can really understand, like, oh, okay, this is what she's got going on. This is why she doesn't want to try this dish I made. Because initially, that was probably offensive to him. He would make something and be like, oh, you want to bite? And I'm like, no. But now he
Yeah.
does. Now he knows like what it is, so it doesn't cause conflict.
So basically, he did it because of just wanting to understand the sport.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just trying to like process what you're telling me. because that because it's not an easy sport. That's why I'm asking. Like especially like outsiders, and I know but for people, because I hear stories about like there's always like couple disputes on because the person wanted to compete and the other person they want to understand they couldn't understand it. Some do, and yeah. So that's good. That's good that he tried it
Yeah,
out.
we certainly
Yeah.
experienced that at first, where we just didn't there was a miscompare, we couldn't understand where each other were at for a little while there. And
Yeah.
so, that he took that leap and he did something that just, that maybe was never on his list of things to do, but to be able to understand. And I have, a ton of respect for him for that.
That's good. That's good that he wanted to try something that you was a part of. Yeah. So so he don't have to be up on you and stuff. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Get it. Like, he's gonna do another show or anytime
So
soon?
he potentially will be doing a show together later this year.
Okay,
But he just did the Super Show. We went and he earned his pro card too. So we're actually both OCB pros. He did men's physique.
cool, cool. We got
Mhm.
a guest, Oliva's George Page. Good afternoon. And let me see. And so he got another comment. Hold on. Only guy who got away with wearing high heels on stage was Prince. So,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. And to anybody who has served our country, I appreciate the sacrifices you made on behalf of us citizens. Yeah, that's something he likes saying to people that serve the country. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
like how
It's nice
long
to
did
hear.
you you're retiring from the Navy, I understand?
I am this year. I'm retiring. It'll be
Yeah.
23 years I served.
Okay. Wow. What made you want to do the Navy?
To be totally honest with you, 9/11 had happened. And at the time, I was working at a restaurant. I was a waitress. And it was about
Oh,
a year
okay.
later, and I was having a cigarette in the back break room. And there was a little TV, and the news was on. And I was watching updates on what was happening in the Middle East. And I'm like sitting there and I just felt something. I was like, I need to be a part of that. Like this serving eggs and coffee and drinks at night to people, like that's for the birds. I was like, I need to whatever I gotta do to be a part of that, because 9/11 hit hard for me. I'm sure
Yeah.
you can understand. And I
Yeah.
was in the Midwest but the reason it hit hard for me was because it was the first time I saw my parents like shook up by anything. Like they were
Mm,
like unstoppable, right? And then that
mm,
happened. And you're of a certain age, young adult, and you realize that your parents are people, and maybe you realize it the strongest the first time you see real fear in them. And that made me feel some type of way. And so when I saw an avenue to take care of business,
mm.
I enlisted in the Navy. That's God's
Okay.
honest truth.
Wow. Wow. Did you have like I don't know if you're gonna say I don't know if you're gonna mention it, but I suppose you had some missions and stuff like that. Some secret
Oh,
missions.
I mean, I was an aircraft electrician. I've fixed
No.
helicopters.
That's good.
So
That's cool. What made you want to do that?
when it was the first one on the list, I didn't even
Oh,
look
you
through
just
it.
picked
Like
it?
I enlisted, I took my, ASVAB test, and they
Yeah.
handed me a stack of cards, and they're like, "Here, you can
Yeah.
pick your job." I didn't even look through the cards. I just pointed to the top one. I said, "I'll do that," and then I left for
Oh.
boot camp 2 days later. But then I loved it.
Well,
So, what are you gonna do? Like, or maybe I'm just
I ain't mad at
predispositioned to
you. I ain't mad at
commit
you.
to. I don't know.
I- Yeah, I ain't mad at you. I mean, I tried to take the ASVAB test, and but I wasn't successful at it. I tried to do the Army, Marines. I never did the Navy, but I wasn't good at
Mhm.
math, and that was always my kryptonite. Reading, I would try to do better, but the math, like whether it was the army or the Marines, because the army is a little bit, it ain't as when you take in like the test to try out, you're not even the ASVAB, you know, it's more easier, but I kind of sucked at math. So I just yeah, and then I
It's
try to do it
self-awareness. I love
again.
it.
Yeah, I try to do it again, but I kind of see that they didn't really care. I was like, you know
Mhm.
what, whatever. I just it's all good, But people was getting on me though about like trying to serve in the military. They don't care about you, and you're just gonna be a number to them, and once this other friend I had, he was like, "You're gonna go through traumatic stuff and start bitching about what was it like out there." And, but I
I
think it,
mean,
it
we're
just
all just a
wasn't.
number.
Huh?
We're all just a
But
number, right? Like whether it's a social
yeah,
security number, we're all just a number to most people. So I guess in my mind, like what's the difference?
I mean, people had their opinions, but I didn't really care at the time. I didn't care. I was just trying something out because at the time I didn't know what I wanted to do in life, so I just like picked that, but it ain't go the way I wanted to go. So, but I'm
Mhm.
not too sore. I'm not sore about it. But yeah, but with the 9/11 thing, I'm here in New York City, and
Mhm.
I remember I was going to a store, and the guy started announcing that the towers crumbled down and stuff, and yeah, so that's how I knew about the non, not that's how I knew about the towers kind of collapsing and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah, that was a
but
heavy
that
time.
yeah, 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 yeah. Do you think? Nah, I don't want to go too deep into that. But yeah,
Fair.
that's pretty good that you retiring. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, like don't they got bodybuilding in the Navy, like competitions?
So they do there's like various shipboard or shore-based you know competitions. They're usually weightlifting or functionally based. But
Yeah.
as far as actual like a bodybuilding competition sponsored by the military, no, they don't have that specific, right? It's more performance based fitness, strength, and things like that.
Oh, okay, okay. Like you also
But then, of
like
course, they
was
have their
going.
sports teams, like their baseball team or football team, and things like that.
Oh, what was you doing like at the time? Like in terms of athletic, you was running a lot.
So I mean, I have on and off ran a lot. I do enjoy running, but not on treadmills. So I don't do that very much when I'm on the ship. Um, but it's in terms of training, uh, I went through different waves of it, whatever was sort of in style at the time. There was a time where I did a lot of like circuit training and then or heavy lifting training or high intensity training. It had never been really specific for, yes, honey, you can go outside. It had never been tailored for bodybuilding, like specifically until 2024.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. Hey, George, all of age. What is your rank?
I'm a Master Chief.
Oh, Master Chief. Okay, all right. That's oh, well, like what does the Master Chief do? Like, excuse my ignorance. I don't,
No, that's okay.
n- n-
Right
oh,
now, I just manage maintenance efforts. So for many years, I was, hands on helicopters, turning wrenches, fixing things. And then, as you've been in longer and longer, you start to move into leadership and management positions. So, maintenance management.
You know, what you doing like what would you do now, like in terms of like you gonna get another job or
Ooh. So yes, I do want to work. I want another career following my Navy career. What that
okay.
looks like is still coming into focus. I'm not retiring until later, 6 months from now. So that's all coming into focus. But I still have plenty of years, to work and have a whole nother career. So I'm excited for that.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. That's I'm really happy for you doing that. That's cool. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, you have like a video I wanted to play. I think it's about competing. I just, put like
Oh yeah.
yeah, check
The
it out.
biggest piece of advice I can give anybody who's considering bodybuilding is to know who you are prior to starting, right? It should elevate who you are, maybe expose like something you love, but it shouldn't be character defining. And if you're finding yourself lost and you think it's going to save you, you're missing the points, okay? Unfortunately, I think too many people get involved in bodybuilding and think, oh, this is going to change me. Everything else is going to go away. All my problems, life will be so different. And then, unfortunately, they're the ones making the social media post their first show, talking about how awful their experience was and how unhealthy it was. And maybe that's because they didn't exercise autonomy and communication with their coaches. Maybe that's because they thought they didn't have a say. I'm not sure, but I think if you get into it for the wrong reasons, it's not therapy, it's a sport. Remember that. Heal the upstairs first.
That's very interesting. Like, do you know you came across people that, that was wanted to do it for like a therapy?
Oh, you see it, I think, almost more often than not, why are you bodybuilding? Oh, I had this wrong and this was a way for me to heal it, or, and I can't even like fault it because I did say my first year was to gain control of what I could. And that's fair to say. But I kept bodybuilding for a different reason. That's because I loved it. Um,
Mhm.
my concern is I see a lot of social media posts where I'm scrolling through and my feed's all bodybuilding stuff now, but and it'll be a competitor who had a negative experience for whatever reason, and they will blame bodybuilding as a whole for an eating disorder development or for body dysmorphia or relationship issues or health concerns. And I guess my take on that is you need to pull back a little bit. Is it bodybuilding's fault? Right? Because if you play basketball and you break your leg or your arm or you sprain your ankle, do you turn around and make a video about how basketball is this evil, organization? Or did you just break yourself playing basketball? Bodybuilding's a sport. Okay. So if you make choices while trying to participate in that sport that are harmful to you because you were too close, you weren't able to pull back enough to make decisions for yourself and to communicate properly with your coaches, or go to the doctor, or do your own research or whatever that may be, it's not bodybuilding's fault. Sorry, that's your fault. So don't yuck my yum because you had a negative experience with it. fix whatever it is upstairs, right? That made it a poor experience for you, or maybe just accept that it's not for you. But to blame the entirety of bodybuilding to me is just, it's absurd. That's crazy.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I mean, I see not too long ago I seen somebody was talking about competing and they didn't their experience they didn't like there was a they were pro but they didn't like their experience because they feel that the judges they already determined who's going to be the winner and
Hmm.
it's all other stuff too. But I think it's to each his own, some people they meant to do it. Some people in a short term, but some people they meant to do it in a long term. Not everybody can do it because I don't look at it as a sport. I look at it more as a discipline. Like the way you have to restrain yourself from eating bad food and certain amount of proportions of food and eating the same food again and just even dealing with prep and dehydration and it's a mental thing
All of those
yeah,
things that you just described are
yeah.
things that are practiced by wrestlers, things that are practiced by UFC fighters, things that are
Okay.
practiced by people who do ballet or other dance, right? So, and you don't, I guess if people say negative things about those institutions as well, but maybe I'm just not seeing those videos. I don't think there's anything um, inherently harmful about bodybuilding unless somebody, just loses track of themselves trying to do it.
Well, like there's some people that talk about steroid usage and like especially with women that they're not able to have a kid or certain other what word I could use
Like
abnormalities. If I
virilization,
could-
where they start to take
yeah,
on like the brow change, the voice change, and things like that.
yeah, that too.
I think
Also,
performance enhancing drugs exist in many sports. Um, it's not something that I do, uh, but at the same time, like I feel like who am I to tell somebody what to do with themselves?
yeah,
If an organization doesn't have a restriction against it, and they're doing what they think is healthy for them or good for them, and they're comfortable with whatever is happening with their body, if they're feeling good about it, do you? That's not for me to pass judgment on at all. But a lot of those, what I will say is a lot of the gals that you see that are using performance enhancing drugs and all those things, they're not the ones complaining about the sport, though. They're generally pretty bought in. They love it. They do what they do, and there's, you know,
yeah. That's a
that's just
good
the other
point.
side.
That's a good
You
point.
know.
That's a good point. I mean, there've been bodybuilders and people that I don't know if they bodybuilders, but have a little bit of interest of the sport. I remember a young lady. She's she's a bodybuilder, but she doesn't compete, and she was given reasons why she wouldn't want to compete. Some of it had to be like being in front of being having wearing a bikini in front of the people and you know other things was like the leanness and
Hmm.
bodybuilding talk.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I don't know. It's funny that you mentioned the suit. I get asked that a lot about like, how do you get on stage in just that? It's a tiny suit. Well, first of all, you don't even realize that you feel so you don't feel as super exposed. At least I don't, and maybe that's because of the 18 layers of tan or how hard you've worked in that there's so many other competitors that are dressed just like you, and you're, in my experience, I have always been treated with respect. I've never been disrespected while in my stage attire. And I am very lucky. Nobody's disrespected anything I've posted, online. So I think it's a necessary thing to be able to show off what you're working towards. The standards that you're trying to meet have to do with your muscularity and your leanness. That is the sport. So you've got to be able to. You can't judge what you can't see.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that you look. I think you look a bit. I mean, not a bit, but feminine. So I don't think that people gonna be like, "Oh, she look. Is that a man?" or question you like that, or So that's just me. So, but I mean, yeah, there's people that do get flack on competing and stuff, but it is what it is. So I think you
Sure,
got
there's a
another
lot of people
question.
out there.
Uh, would you think about being a personal trainer? That's what he asks you.
So I've like helped people out in the gym. I guess I don't really at this point have I don't really have time to pursue another thing because I have the 4 boys that I'm raising, and I'm still in the Navy, and I'm still doing my own prep and my own competing. Um, it's not something that down the road I might consider. It's not off the table, but at the very same time, we all have to kind of recognize what our strengths and weaknesses are, and I don't. I'm not sure if I have strength in personal training, motivational, uh, coaching. I can motivate, but as far as strength training, I haven't had formal education with that, and I wouldn't want to put myself out there as an expert in something that maybe just because I practice it, or maybe because I've done it a couple of years and found, a little bit of my own success. I don't think that automatically qualifies you to coach.
Yeah, yeah. You look like you could be a yoga teacher or something. You got the scarf, and you got the tattoos, and you got the thing.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I got tattoos for all the different parts of my Navy career all over me.
Okay. Oh, so you got that? You got it because you was in the Navy. All right. All right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it don't look bad on you. So
Thanks.
I ain't gonna go too deep on it, but yeah. Yeah. Um. Yeah. So you was doing marathon running, like like you done races, a lot of
Yeah, I've done
races.
a couple. I did the Nike Women's in 2006 in San Francisco, and then I
Mm.
did the Rock and Roll in Vegas. What year would that would have been? Years later, because I had would have been 2016, something like that.
That ain't
And
that
I
ain't
did a
that
Tough
far
Mudder.
away.
Yeah, it's about 10 years ago that I did that one.
Yeah. Yeah. What made you
Mhm.
want to do the marathon?
Because I could. Because it was something, right?
You
Like,
just wanted to try it?
there's something I appreciate about enduring, right? Doing something
Yeah.
beyond what maybe you thought you could. And so that we're all clear for all the marathon runners out there, like half, okay? So not 26.2, 13.1. So that I'm up front. I don't want to get called out half. But yeah, I did them because I think because I could, because I was I wasn't I'm not an incredible runner. The first one I did get coaching. I did a fundraising to get coached through the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. My mother had been diagnosed with cancer, and so but I was far away. I was in the Navy, and it was just like something I could do, I think, to help process that maybe. So I just it was like, let me do something that raises money, and then I'll push my body to do something while I can, because I started to learn, I think on some level, mortality, and I think that's another thing that keeps me like taking risks and doing things and really like committing to whatever I decide to do, because I'm acutely aware of my own mortality. Like, I'm not here forever, so I need to do today what can be done today, right? Because tomorrow's not a guarantee. We all know that, but do we understand it? Do we live that way? I try to. Maybe I don't meet the mark every day, but I try to.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes, I forget, we're here in a temporary basis, you know. Yeah, I was watching a young lady. She had a near death experience, and she was talking about how when she experienced her near death experience, and thing too, her face, she got shot in her face, and her face like opened. Yeah, and she didn't realize that she got shot, and so she had this near death experience that she was in another dimension. I'm saying it like in that way, and it was like she was like free from the stuff that she was free. She felt free, like that's like her body was like levitating and stuff like that, and
Oh my
you
God.
know yeah, like I've heard stories where people, they can fly, and from other dimensions, and when they have like a near death experience, and when they
That's
come
wild.
here, yeah, like when they come here, when they come back, and they feel like, you know she felt that it was like a punishment to be here. That's how, that was like her enlightening. That's the only way, the simple way I could explain it. But before she had that near death experience, she felt that, she was like very oblivious that she was here for a short period of time. I think when
Mhm.
she had that the near death experience, it opened her eyes a bit more. So that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
That's wild.
It, yeah. It's about being consistent, disciplined, and dedicated. Do you like in competing, like, do you have like somebody that you admire, like a bodybuilder, like if it's natural or enhanced bodybuilder that you like looking at?
I mean, there's a few folks that I follow loosely on like Instagram, that I think, oh man, they look really great or whatever. But I don't know that there's like, I don't idolize, I think, anyone in particular. I mean, I think like, anybody would say like Corey Everson, right? Like,
I mean,
that's top tier. But
yeah,
then you're
she's
kind of getting
known.
into like the history of bodybuilding, you know.
There's nothing wrong with
And
that.
I think
Uh,
she's amazing, you know.
yeah, it ain't nothing wrong with that. I didn't know you was what, there's people that may not be aware of Korea Everson. I know a lot do, but like they don't really pay attention to the women bodybuilders of the past. And it's like, wow,
That's
you
true.
yeah, yeah, only maybe like some have, there's people that don't really know about, there's people that have watched Pumping Iron, but they didn't know about Pumping Iron too, like maybe,
Hmm.
like I would say some do, but, and they're like women, female bodybuilders. And I'm like, wow, you never knew about that? Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it's a good movie to watch, to look at. So,
Hmm.
I would recommend it if somebody. But that's good that you because Corey Everson, I mean, I would say she's like a good role model for like
I
a
think so too, and she
person in
continues to be.
bodybuilding. Yeah, yeah. You ever seen her movies?
Hmm.
Ever
Yes,
watched
some
the
of.
movies? Like
So I've watched
she
like
was
clips of
on.
them to see like, her roles. I watched her documentary, and I like to follow her now because I think she presents a great example of like a well-rounded athlete who then competed,
Yeah,
did great things, had an amazing life, and continues to do great things and still be healthy even through her own health struggles. You know what I mean? She
yeah,
didn't say, "Oh, I have this blood disorder, poor me." It was, "What do I need to do to manage it so that I can continue to do what I want to do in a healthy way?" And I'm like, that one knows.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't know she was sick. Yeah, I didn't really realize that. Yeah,
Yep. She had a deep vein thrombosis in one of her legs. She almost lost it, actually.
yeah, yeah. I know. Like a while back, she couldn't have kids, and she adopted
Hmm.
somebody. Yeah. So yeah, I mean so the next show for you, it's with you and your husband.
Yeah. We're looking at doing a
Okay.
show in late August.
Okay. Right. How do you feel about doing that with your husband? Like, you nervous, or you guys prepping together? I assume you prepping together.
We will be, yep. I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a good experience. Um, you know, so
Is,
it's going to be chaos getting ready,
is
but
this
we'll be there.
is this like a what, like a OCB show or a P NBA show?
It's an IMBA PNBA show.
IFB. Say that again. Run
INBA.
that back.
INB.
IFBA. INBA. Oh, okay, okay,
There you
all
go.
right, all right. I gotta like process these other natural bodybuilders organizations.
Yeah, there's a ton of them.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't even really know. Like, I think I think what the what was the name of the, forget it. I forgot it. It just slipped out my mind. I was looking through one of the, it's called the fit, the natural fit um foundation or something like that. I forgot. NFF. That's what it is. The NFF.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah,
not
natural
familiar.
fit. I was just looking at it before we was talking. That's what. Yeah, but yeah, but I wish you the best. Yeah, you could tell
Appreciate
me
that.
about it later on in the future. You and your husband. Yeah, yeah, I would
Yeah,
love to hear his story. Yeah. So I'm gonna leave you alone, and I
absolutely.
really appreciate it. Yeah, happy Mother's Day again.
Thank
All
you.
right,
Thank you.
all right, all right.